to time. I really just don't care. Like I purposely sought out some sort of thing for the thumbnail. Like you couldn't make, and they tried to make a Coming to America too, which I did not even bother even trying to give it a minute of my life because
Yeah,
the
it's
only
a
thing that made
waste.
it inappropriate was what made it funny. Like you have the black guy just pushing every stereotype and mocking every stereotype. The fact that you're going to do it modern time, I didn't believe them. And of course, Animal House was just truly almost groundbreaking. Like it was like, how could we basically put everyone's college experience on screen and just laugh at ourselves of all some of the stupid insanity us or our friends did? And that was kind of what happened in one film. So, with that, Mags, is there a certain comedy or two that are kind of like top tier for you, like you keep going back to?
Oh gosh. Well, I like when I do sit down, I like to watch some of the old SNL skits with
Okay.
oh gosh, I always get them confused the names, but I see the picture. He's right on your thumbnail. Actually, is it Jim Belushi, John Belushi? I can't
Okay,
think of
John
it.
Belushi, and
Yeah.
so that's like 70s SNL, like the very
Oh yeah.
beginning.
I
Yeah, yeah.
mean, one of my favorite ones of his is when I love to see the reruns and watch, either watch it on YouTube or somewhere
Mhm.
else. Is like him cutting the deli stuff up with with a
Oh,
katana.
oh yeah, he's a samurai deli, I think is what they call the sketch. But yeah,
Yes, I think so.
different people come in. Yeah.
That stuff was, I mean, that stuff back in the day, the SNL days was comedy gold. And then something else that my dad introduced me to was you probably have heard of Second City TV or
Oh yeah.
SCTV.
Yes,
With
absolutely.
John Candy, Dan Aykroyd, and gosh,
Where they all
what's
got started. That's where they all got
that's
started.
that's all. That's where they all got started, and
Mhm.
some of that stuff is hilarious. Some of it's a little but there's some really good and funny parts that give you that good old belly laugh, and those are good types of laughs. Laughing is good for you. It keeps you positive. It makes you smile more and everything, and we need that back. So a lot of times, I like to go back to some of the older stuff. Stuff like The Princess Bride,
Yes.
um,
Perfect.
Spaceballs,
Perfect.
just even if they're all parodies, it just doesn't matter.
I
They're
don't
just
care.
they were comedy golds that we could sit down and still rewatch and still laugh at the same stupid jokes. And so that's what a comedy is for. When it's done well like that, you need it, and you can wear out the CD disc or wear out the VHS tape. It's just,
Yes.
that's good stuff. And I miss stuff like that.
Yeah, just talking about different comedians in the 2000s, left and right, getting movies. Also, Dane Cook, Kevin James. Listen, I'm not going to even hate on some of the Kevin James, Dane Cook. Not so much Dane Cook and Russell Brand, but definitely Kevin James. They can just be on. I don't even care that they're dumb. I don't even care that Zookeeper or Mall Cop are dumb. If it can just be clean and stupid and funny and what, I don't care. Like it can just be on. So I'm good.
Exactly. Yeah.
The Young Frankenstein's like classic, bro. Yeah, we're talking like top 10 kind of stuff. It's like if we only had to put one Mel Brooks comedy in the top 10, what would it be? Would be the problem. Like which are the ones are we going to pick? Because there's 3 or 4 that deserved at least conversation. So, he survived his tech stuff. We'll give it to Pacific 414 in just 1 second. Young Frank's one of the few movies I've watched with my dad, and he wasn't a movie guy at all. Yeah, because it's freaking brilliant. Oh my gosh, it's a good film.
About the only thing of modern comedy, let's say from the year 2000 on up, that really sticks in my mind, the stupid comedy like the American Pie series. It came out the year I graduated, so I
They were
gravitate
classics at the
towards that.
time. Yep.
But Jackass.
Jackass was good for you. Okay, that's a good choice.
Jackass. All of them. They're all hilarious. Of course, they're different. They're hilarious in their different ways. But yeah, I'm looking over this one IMDb list for 2000 to now. Almost every single one of them on here are not comedies. They're either mix or they're just forgettable.
Yeah, they're known to be something else first and foremost. Like we were saying, like Lost Boys. Yeah. It's not. You would not think comedy when you think about that film. So,
and it's funny that you mentioned. We're mentioning movies and such. I know. One thing that I like to rewatch when I'm literally want to have something on in the background, or I'm working intensely at work, and sometimes you just need that a show that you can just let it run the entire time. And I know people will, probably cancel me for this, but I love The Office, and I know that's just a show.
Why are you
But
gonna be ashamed of The Office? My daughter is Office obsessed.
Some people, hey, look, there are those out there that think it's a dumb show, but you know what? That's part of the reason it has that charm. It is dumb, but to be quite honest, for those of us who actually work in the office, it's actually kind of true, and it's really funny and ironic. So it makes me laugh because I'm like, oh my gosh, I actually see.
You work with these people?
Yeah, I work with these types of people sometimes.
It's like a Dilbert cartoon. If you guys are old enough, you know what Dilbert
exactly.
is.
I love Dilbert.
Yes, I love Dilbert.
Hey to Gray, coming in from Japan. That's old school.
It's funny when you think about it. NBC at one point had three of the best comedies that have been put on TV over the past 20 years. The Office was one of them.
Yep.
Community was another one. Parks and Rec was the third one. And I love Parks and Rec. I prefer it over The Office. And then Community is just funny. They're all comedy gold because they weren't afraid to be funny or to try and push things a little. They were willing to take the risks, and it paid off. With Netflix on all their troubles, when they lost all three of those shows, then again, I don't think they had Community. They didn't have Community exclusively, but they did have Parks and Rec, and they did have The Office pretty close to exclusive. And once, especially with The Office, once it was gone, that is when their troubles really truly started. As far as people staying subscribed, eyeballs tuning in, getting all these other shows on the periphery into their field of vision because they were there for The Office. Now that they're no longer there for that, none of the other stuff is working as it used to. And so they've got to adapt or die, but it looks like they're in the die mode right now. So
I'm going to come right back to you, Mags. I'm sorry. Let me just welcome Pacific 414. Thank you, bro. Thank you, Mike, for coming on in, man. Sorry about your computer stuff, man. We're great to have you, though.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm sorry for my tardiness, but it was around 3:13 local time that the ISP went out, and
we all are going to go through tech stuff at one time or another, bro. At least it was on my stream and didn't ruin one of yours. So we take it with a grain of salt. Keep on moving. Just keep it moving. So, sorry to interrupt you, Mags. Let's get back to what you were saying. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to piggyback off of Brandon and say, he's right in that, that I think I remember reading somewhere, and I somebody can correct me. Of course, somebody can always find better answers in the chat. But I think The Office was like the #1 restreamed show on Netflix, and so that was a huge deal when NBC pulled its content from them. So that tells you right there that those types of shows, or even those the films that are like those types of shows or older, the classics, people love that stuff. There's rewatchability with that, and that's what the audience needs. We don't want any of this other nonsense.
I couldn't agree more. Eyecatchers bring in a few more to the table. Employee of the month and Dodgeball. Not a big fan of Employee of the Month, really. Dodgeball's classic for me, though.
Yes,
I love Dodgeball. I quote Dodgeball pretty regularly in my life, so that's a thing. And Castle, you're talking my language, man. Clean fun is good fun. Doesn't have to be raunchy. I don't mind some, but yeah, I think it's even more genius if you can make us laugh without actually being raunchy. I got to be honest with you, just to be even more genius about it. So, Gray hasn't seen American Office, so the British one with Ricky Gervais is hilarious and uncomfortable at the same time. That's what I hear. It's what I hear. And then Community is one of the top 5 shows. It's just absolutely brilliant. War Monkeys agreeing about Office Space, which is absolutely a freaking brilliant film as well.
Yes, it was
one of my favorites.
Yeah, so
Mike Judge at his best.
We were just discussing like the death of the comedies. Like I'm not trying to keep up with chat at this point. It's just going bonkers. We're talking about stuff. Mike, comedy's kind of like dead. Like we're kind of in this dead water where you're not allowed to offend. You're not allowed to do anything that's funny. You're not allowed to do these things. So, for you, how do you see the comedic genre? And is there a movie in the last few years you could recommend as a good comedy? I'm not even sure anymore.
I can't. I honestly can't. I mean, the other day I found myself watching Caddyshack for the millionth time.
Oh, awesome. Just so freaking good. It's so good. So good. So let's see. Let me see. British comedy show about the YMCA. Can't remember the name. I watched it on PBS. It's
At
vaguely
one point, the
familiar,
British
also
had a ton of good comedies.
Oh,
Although
yeah,
I
yeah,
will
yeah.
say, as far as a classic show goes, I did go through the whole entire series of Cheers, and I loved it, especially the first 3 seasons with Coach there. Coach was so good. Just the comedic timing between him and Ted Danson and everybody else was just great. The show is great, but I really loved those first 3 years.
Hot Tub Time Machine. Now,
Never saw it.
I got nothing for you, Ryan. However, I'm a little shocked with your demeanor that's at the top of your list. But okay, I'll take it. I was a little surprised by that one, to be honest, bro. So each your own, man. It's good. That's the other thing about comedies. Everybody can have their own favorites, and who are we to judge? Like, it doesn't matter, right? So
Yep.
Anyway, I think it's kind of I think. For me, I think it was really struck me in the wake of the Orville thought. Like I said, the stuff with my wife, we're looking for comedies. And I think, Mags, you were hitting on this better than anyone, because you were kind of talking about, like, SNL stuff can just be short. So it can just be on. It can be something short that you can get a little dose and a little laughter. You were also talking about Office can just be on. It can just be playing in the background. I don't have to pay a lot of attention to it. And then Brandon's examples are like these focused, really great films that are also, strong comedies. Megs, isn't it just they can all fill different roles for different reasons, and it's just the thirst that we want to laugh?
I have to quote something, or at least a song from back in my childhood. Mary Poppins. I love to laugh. We need to bring that sentiment back. And laughter is so. Laughter is also a communal thing too. When we're all laughing together, it's joyful. It gives us those not to be scientifically proven, but it gives us good endorphins, and it exercises the right kind of muscles. It's overall mind, body, and soul good for you. And the destruction of today's laughter, or at least a suppression of it, in my opinion, I think it's kind of evil. It's kind of making us ill in such a way. And we need to bring it back to heal humanity. And good comedies from a long time ago, and from shows to shorts to movies, that stuff that we all talk about, like, hey, you just got out of the theater seeing Caddyshack, for instance, and you walk out. I wasn't alive then when I saw it, but in the theater. But I can watch it now in a group setting, and we can all laugh and point at different aspects of the film, and just enjoy it and laugh and just talk about it, and goof off, and even do our own little movement skits of what goes on. That's a community thing, and that brings us all together, and on a common ground, and it's good for the soul too. So
yes, couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Right